Rowar was a man who lived alone on the outskirts of the city. For years, he had no close relationships. He had no friends, and his family ties had long since dissolved. From the outside, he seemed to lead an ordinary life, but Rowar's inner world was entirely different. At night, he walked through dark streets, entered abandoned buildings, and listened intently to the silence. People kept their distance. No one could see the emptiness in his eyes. That evening, Rowar made his way toward the city's old industrial district. The wind howled through rusty metal pipes, echoing like distant cries. The damp air clung to his skin, and the moon was hidden behind a layer of clouds. Rowar entered an abandoned warehouse he had scouted before. Inside, it was pitch dark, but darkness had never been a problem for him. For years, it had been his closest companion. As he walked through the building, he observed the graffiti and rust stains on the walls, finding patterns where others saw only decay. Every corner, every crack seemed to tell a story, sometimes terrifying, sometimes mesmerizing. Rowar was looking for something that could disrupt this silence. People never came here, but he knew that every empty building held a story and waited patiently for someone who would listen. Suddenly, a sound came from the upper floor, a faint creak followed by the rapid retreat of footsteps. Rowar felt his heart race, but he did not feel fear. Instead, a surge of curiosity overcame him. Quietly, he climbed the stairs. The upper floor consisted of old office rooms, littered with dust, old papers, and shattered glass. The sound had come from a slightly ajar door. The room was completely dark, illuminated only by a sliver of moonlight through the broken window. Rowar noticed movement. At first, it was just a shadow, but gradually the figure became clear. A human silhouette. It was hard to determine the person's age or gender, but fear was unmistakable. Rowar did not introduce himself. "Don't worry that you don't know me," he said in a quiet tone. "But this is my domain." His voice was cold, chilling, yet controlled. The shadow recoiled and whispered, "Please, leave. I don't want you here." Rowar's eyes darkened, but not with anger, only with curiosity. People usually fled rather than spoke to him, but this one stayed. He stepped closer, maintaining silence. "Why are you here?" he asked. The woman, or perhaps the person, remained silent, trembling. Rowar understood the fear. It fascinated him even more. For a moment he paused, placing a hand lightly on the door to give the figure a chance to escape. But instead of running, the person let out a scream and collapsed to the floor. Rowar realized something. Their heart was racing not from fear alone, but from the intensity of his presence. He approached carefully. The room had become a void, filled with silence and terror. Rowar saw the deepest fear hidden in their eyes, but this fear was not a threat to him. It was an invitation. Eventually, the person spoke, more out of necessity than choice. "Please, let me go." A faint smile appeared on Rowar's face, but it was not an ordinary smile. It was the smile of darkness and solitude turned into an intimate knowledge of fear. "I won't let you go," he said in a whispery, commanding tone. "You have to understand. I mean no harm, but this is my world, and you do not belong here." Tears streamed down their face, glinting in the dim light. Rowar had no intention of harming them, but their fear mesmerized him. There was no turning back now. He guided them to the darkest corner of the building. Their screams echoed off the empty walls, Yet for Rowar, it was not a game. It was ritual. Silence, fear, and solitude were a language he spoke fluently. Hours passed. The person fainted and slowly regained consciousness, utterly resigned. Rowar watched their breathing closely. His eyes gleamed in the darkness like a solitary lantern. By morning, he led them out of the warehouse. The city was waking up, unaware of the events of the night. The person was no longer just a victim. They were a witness. On the streets, silence reigned. But Rowar already began planning the next night. Every building, every abandoned space, every solitary human was a sign for him. Rowar walked quietly through his world, waiting patiently for the next signal. From that day on, the number of missing people in the city began to rise. No one spoke of it openly, but a rumor persisted. On the city's outskirts, a man walked at night, silent, cold, and relentless. Those who saw him could no longer speak, no longer laugh, only endure the passage through fear. And Rowar returned each night to his silence, ready for the next signal.